Good rising, everybody, and good evening. I'm so grateful to be here with you. I am Radiance Tyler from Lighthouse Effects and Spirituality Gone Wild, who is hosting the site in order for us to transmit and transmute all of the energy that's coming in and going out over to you. So, how have you been? How's your breathing going? How's that for you? I have a lot to cover this evening, and I get to cover it all in about a half hour. So I'm grateful to be here with you. Again, this is Radiance Tyler from Lighthouse Effects. You are welcome to check us out online, also on YouTube. And I do have a series coming out for the classroom in order for those of you who are really into like the emotional well-being of breath and of how to come back into your body to have these experiences in a way that's like, wow, or in a way that, you know, your brain can have a little bit of relaxation. So tonight, I'm just going to drop in this song, and here goes. Click on that song. And I'd love to know what your songs are that you've been listening to that are giving you some kind of comical relief. Or maybe you're like, I can't do comical relief right now. One piece that I really want to start discussing this evening, and I've had quite a few discussions with my friends recently, is this place of, over the years, me personally, over the years, I've never, ever trusted like authority, like ever since I was a kid, right? Or government or anything like that. So I've just always had this natural, like, you can't trust those things. And then it got me to thinking, what can you trust? Like, has there not been the story of the enemy or the inner me? Because what our brain is really fantastic at is recognizing where there might be things that we need to pay attention to. Now, if you add little devices to that and you only click on certain things, then all of a sudden the whole world becomes this whole like dinosaurs everywhere, right? Where people are like, oh my gosh, over there, like you don't even want to see anymore. There's so much stuff happening. And we've gotten really, really good at protecting ourselves. So good at protecting ourselves that most of us have been locked away for over a year now. Wow, that's really good at protecting ourselves. Imagine that. That we've become such a phenomenal society at doing this, at protecting ourselves, that we've pushed away everything else. A slight exaggeration, right? Maybe it's not everything. Maybe there's like a few people we're still talking to. But where is the room for doubt? So I recognize like I have this like this fiery personality a lot. And yesterday, as I was like in the car, trying to back out of the garage, and the person who parked the car before me pulled in at an angle and then backed up straight, like against a wall. And so I was like, I was gonna have a serious mental meltdown because of all those little like beeper lights that are going on, right? Now, I used to have a 72 Chevelle. That thing had ding marks all over it. It was like one big piece. Wherever there wasn't plaster, you know, like the Bondo on it, wherever that wasn't happening was the actual other metal. But I didn't care. I was like, nah, it's just a tank. And I was ready for it. And so when I'm in a garage with a car that is beeping at me the whole freaking time, I was I'm like that far from the wall, right? I'm like right there. And then the car's like, I'm like, what? I'm just trying to get out of the garage. Damn it. Oh my gosh. So my daughter is outside the car. I'm like, I can't even do this. Just stand outside the car and let me know if I'm going to hit the wall. Right. And she was like, Mom, you're not going to hit the wall. Just trust yourself. But I was so attuned to that alert that I couldn't even focus. Right? Our system is like so attuned to all of these alerts. Oh my gosh, shoot this, attack, 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 attack. Right? It's like, so I got out of the car and I'm like, I was just swearing, right? I'm like, oh, why do you park the car next to the wall? What is your problem? And it was funny. It was funny. I was laughing and I was screaming. And my daughter was crying. She was laughing so hard. And she's like, Mom, you could do this. I'm like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I can't even concentrate. So for months now, months and months and months and months and months, everything that's been going on. Maybe it's a great thing. Maybe with the great thing, you know, of the unveiling of everybody knowing everything and everybody doing this cancel, and I'm not talking to you and I'm not talking to you. Maybe that's a good thing, right? Because we get to establish where are our boundaries. One thing I've been really great at in my life is fighting. Phenomenal at fighting. My grandfather was such a good boxer that he killed somebody while he was boxing. Not really a good boxer, but so it's in me, right? I've got like this, I've got this fire. But I'm starting to discover something. Oh, what is it? Tell me, what is it? I don't have to be right anymore. You know what I would trade in for being right these days? Being able to sit down and have conversations with people, conversations where I'm curious about what's going on with them emotionally. So yesterday in the car, when I was like, all fired up, right? Ready to throw punches, ready to just be like, I can't take anymore. As the beep sign is going, red lights like, you're gonna hit a wall. Half of me wanted to just like slam into the wall just to do that. The other half of me was like, give up, just stop. So I got out of the car. I went and I got my husband and I was like, get the car out of the garage for me, please. And what was astounding was that he got into the car and I had actually lined it up fine and he just backed up. Right? So part of me is like, all of that freaking work. But for months, all I've been hearing and listening to is all of these people talking about all of this wrong. And damn, I'm tired. I'm tired of people, of you being wrong, me being wrong. I don't even care anymore. There's enough freaking room here for everybody. There really is. I just check out that song that I just posted. It was the same stories from when I was a kid. Like there's no room for those people here. We as a world, I think, really could consider shifting our perspectives a little bit. And recognizing, you know, that out on tour and sitting with the musicians and the isolation that people were going through, and recognizing that even there, even in that great place of isolation, you know, even on those pedestals are lonely, and there's humans on those pedestals. And I think one of the considerations that I'm thinking about moving forward is, where are we in terms of kindness with each other? Where are we in terms of maximum grace with each other? Where are we in our places of hypocrisy? Where am I outside of alignment? I remember sitting in some meetings when I was younger, and one of the meetings, this was like 12-step recovery. And one of the meetings that I went to, I wanted to get up and say something right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to add here. And the person sitting next to me was like, that's not how it works. First of all, you get yourself somebody to talk to, and then you write your life history, and then you talk to that person and you tell them everything that you have ever done that is terrible, that you have shame or guilt or blame or like all the emotions. And then you talk with the people about it, and then you get to open your mouth. Because until each one of those little phases is done, all that I had to contribute was venom and bitterness and anger and rage and fury. And yes, there's a lot of it, right? There's like, ah! And there's this, like, when I was in that place, it's like, I just want destruction. It all needs to go, right? I'd be in the mosh pits. I'd be like, ah! Right? Teenage angst, man. That was a thing. Teenager, where I would go around and I'd be like, oh, I'm not talking to that person. Right? Teenager. Teenager, the teenage me did not have maximum grace for people. It had very little tolerance for anything. And I have, one of my sub personalities, like this teenage me that really wants to stay super protected and keep like, like keep all of that out, right? But teenage me did not breathe much between the ages of about 12 and 18, maybe getting into 19. Once I started sitting in at meetings, I think is where I started to restore that oxygen level. So I'm interested in hearing from you tonight. How do you stay protected? What are the parts of you that you really, really cherish and that nobody else knows about right now? What are the songs that are inspiring you these days? Those first years of marriage that I was in, I remember we were in this fight. I was living over in the UK, and we were in this fight, and Stephen looked at me and he was like, man, you're upset all the time. Like you always have something that you're picking apart in me. Right? Always have something. And I'm like, and I'm thinking in my brain, dude, you don't even know the half of it. I don't even say half of the stuff that's in my brain has not even exited my mouth. And I remember for a year straight. Now, remember, we'd only known each other 68 days before we got married. We went and we created our first album together. We went on tour. I really didn't know this person. But I would hazard to guess that this is just a part of that process of learning to live with each other, no matter who you are. Right? When you're a kid and you have siblings, it's like, nah, take that, and poking people, and doesn't matter when you have to go through learning to live together. At some point, you're going to hit that wall, and there's going to be some like, nah, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Right? But they said this and that hurt my feelings. Nah. Yes, feelings, they get hurt. Yes, there is pain. Yes, there is suffering. And there's more. So much more. There's vibrancy. Let's turn down the freaking drama and turn up that vibrancy. You know what the commonality is right now for a bunch of people? Pain and suffering. It's like level one entry point on the globe. Isolation is probably another one. There you go. You already have things in common with your complete enemies. Isolation, pain, suffering. Way to go. What more is there? What more do we have that we can explore together? Just looking out at humanity over this next week, because unless you know, like the presidential runners or whoever your presidents are in your country or whatever the top like people that you've got this case against, I get it. I get you're wanting to stay protected. I really, really love that about you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this deep self-care. Once we all recognize that, like, wow, man, I really see that you're doing some deep self-care. There you go. There's another commonality. Way to go, everybody, for doing deep self-care. And what else is there? I think the next tiny little piece, of course, is oxygen. When was the last time you breathed? You're like doing some nice deep breath work and really relaxing and recognizing that constriction in the body, like, I haven't taken a poop in like 12 days. You know, like, where's the magnesium? So that first year, I cried every day the first year of marriage. Every day. So I was over in Europe and I remember like going out to a graveyard and I'm laying like out at the graveyard. I'm like, this is the worst day ever, right? I'm like, ah. And it was my husband's family's graveyard. A lot of their people had been buried there. And so I'm laying there and I hear in my head, I'm like, well, this like, because I can hear dead people sometimes. I don't know if they're actually the dead people talking to me, but I have had this experience quite often. So anyway, I'm laying there on a bench in the graveyard. It's at night, and I hear this voice, and it's like, well, this is very dramatic and an awful place for you to be feeling sorry for yourself. You might want to go and talk to some living people about all of this. And I was like, okay, it is very dramatic of me. So I have to get into this place of not only am I going to be in pain and suffering, but I am going to make sure that everybody is in pain and suffering together, right? Lowest common denominator. Pretty simple mathematician. Pretty simple mathematics there. Mathematics. Pretty simple defining line. Wow, look around. A lot of people are joining in the mix. And so I remember calling one of my older brothers and I was on the phone with him and I'm like, this is awful. I don't understand how people can live together. Right? And I grew up with like a big family and there was a lot of chaos and there was like a lot of, your feelings hurt, me, you know? I mean, that's where like I got a really bad at times and wicked sense of humor was that. I remember my brother like picking up my sister, one of my brothers picking up my sister and tossing her over the balcony into a snowbank because she was like, she couldn't hit him. She couldn't hit my brothers because they were just big and tough and they would just laugh at her. And the only thing she had was like her mouth. She'd be like just nonstop. So I picked that up, right? I picked up that, don't let it go, don't let it go, like a little dog, right? Anyway, he just picked her up. He threw her over his shoulder. She's like, "Let me down, let me down." And he just picks her up and he goes, "Took," threw her over the balcony into the snow, big snow bank. And she's like, "I'm going to kill you." So that's what I learned growing up on how to resolve conflict, right? It was funny. It was terrifying. And then my first rounds of marriage, I'm like, well, it's funny. It's terrifying. Don't let up. If you see your opponent down, don't stop. Just go, drive it home a little further. And then you look over and you see your opponent. And they're laying down, face down on the ground. And they're out cold. You've done it. Right? Energetically, physically. I don't think for a moment that this energy goes nowhere, all of this hatred, all of this anger. I think it's actually attaching itself to the people who are not feeling well. And it just kind of drives in the stake for the last of it. Now that's just me like going out way outside that box. The story that I have around that was, I remember I think I was 11. I don't know that I've really told the story very often. And thanks, beautiful. And I shared a room with my dying aunt. She had cancer, and I remember just laying behind her on the bed and thinking, I wish you were dead. I wish you were dead. I wish you were dead. She had like the oxygen mask. She had diapers. I'd shared a room with her for, maybe I was 12. So I guess I shared a room with her for close to 2 years. It may have been shorter than that. I don't really recall, but I just wished that she was dead. And I couldn't stop thinking about it over and over and over and over again. Just this air assault of, I wish you were dead. I wish you were dead. I wish you were dead. Now, as an adult, I recognize I was watching a person suffering, and it was horrific. And what I wanted was peace. But the only language that I had was just this toxic targeting of volatility. And she went into convulsions, like her whole body stiffened. She started looking up like she was lost, and then her body stiffened, and then her body started convulsing. And all of the drool was coming out of the side of her mouth. And I remember screaming. And it was at that moment that I realized our thoughts are doing something to humans. Yes, it could have been a coincidence, yes. But that was a mighty big freaking coincidence. So what if all of this toxicity has built up over all of these years? And the fear and the anger and the rage and the torment is actually projecting and landing on certain people. The people who don't have the immune system of being able to push this stuff off. So when I called my brother, when I was married, when I called my brother, and he was like, you know what happens, honey, because he had already been married, I don't know, like 15 years, something like that by this point. I was just newly married. My family are much older than I am. So I was newly married, and he said, you know what happens is that eventually you just wear each other down. You're like two saws, and you're like, and then eventually you just get tired. And you either make it work out together or you don't make it work out together. And it really depends on what you do with your mindset every day and your spirit. And you're going to decide on what kind of language you're going to add into humanity. That's where we are. I think the only way we get off this cycle is that we have to stop ourselves from getting off the cycle. It's not going to be about our leaders saying it, because our leaders are only representing everything that has been held in here for an extensive period of time. And if we grow up in this mentality of I can't trust authority, I can't trust, do we trust ourselves enough to get to our core, enough to start recognizing that maybe we need to figure out a way that we can start to lean in and find the language of supporting each other in the journey? I've heard about hatred my whole life, consistently. There we go. There's another commonality. Who are all the people that we can hate together? You know, love is like the opposite direction there, right? It's over there. But we're here, we're like, all these people. Fear. It's doing a really good job right now. We have an ability to expand when we're in this place of deep fear. How do I lean in this week? How do I gain the courage in order to say and speak in a manner where even when I'm afraid, I'm going to lean in with some curiosity this week? And not the like, what's that supposed to mean? Not the teenager, not the 8-year-old, but this genuine, like, wow, wow, I hadn't even considered that. What the hell are you talking about? I'll say one thing, fighters. We've got a lot of good fighters. A lot of good fighters. But in the manner of where I was when I first went into 12-step, into the recovery process, it was this place of, I've got a lot of good fighting words. I can defend. Whoo! If you need somebody in your corner, if you need somebody in critical care team, right? I got all those. But damn, what about gentle? Do I have that? What about some grace? Have I had those people in my life? When the crap gets sticky? Do I have those people? So that's what I'm going to close out with tonight. When the crap gets sticky, who are your people? I think it's time that, for me at least, to go to the mirror and just start looking, getting curious this week of, wow, you know what? If it's up to me to make a difference within the world, what am I going to do about it? Because I know for certain, because I've been married for quite a few years and I'm still talking to my family after all of these years of living with them, the truest way forward is to stop with the blaming, the shaming, the guilting, because nobody comes to the door with that direction. And if they do, they don't get there because it's a genuine desire to be there. They're there because they're scared. And so what? So you've brought somebody to your feet because they're scared. Way to go. So the genuine part of that movement, I mean, yes, we can do that. We can beat the crud out of each other and everybody can lay around annihilated. Or we can start to lean in and recognize that humans are being humans because they're scared, because they haven't learned to communicate in a way that's nourishing yet. What is courageous? There have been a lot of courageous people in the world. Is there a way to really get to the heart of this and say it isn't about those people over there, any pedestals? It's not about that. It's about how we treat each other day to day. So, just to finish that off again, I'm always grateful to be here with you. Sitting through that program for a long time helped me to recognize that my first instinct is going to be protection. Protection for myself, protection for others who think like me, who view things the same way that I view them. And I'm really, really talented at that. What I wasn't talented at was keeping my mouth shut and thinking about ways that I could genuinely listen to the other side, no matter what the narrative was, understand where they were coming from, and then help to expand the conversation. I missed that. So just a reminder tonight, like, I know that I was just getting, somebody was talking about to reach out to a friend who might be suicidal tonight. And I hope that person is listening because it just isn't worth it. I guarantee. I know because I've had the visions around the suicide stuff, which is a whole nother show. But I guarantee on the other side that people are going to be like, damn, I thought I was through it and over. And sure enough, there's going to be more stuff to deal with on the other side as well. It's not like all these things magically disappear. I'm guessing they don't magically disappear. I'm guessing that you get right to the next place, and the next place you're like, oh my gosh, like hitting your head. Bang. I thought I was through this. I think a little secret for like the journey of the soul and life is probably that that it's about nourishment together. I get that it's exhausting. I get it. So if you got something going on this week and you want to drop me a note, I'm happy to sit here and expand my viewpoints, because you know what? I don't have to be right. Somehow the world is going to continue on with or without me, and it's all going to be okay. But I'm going to hang on for as long as I can. What a journey, everybody. What a grand adventure. I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm Radiance Tyler from Lighthouse Effects. Thank you so much for joining me. And hello to all the spirituality gone wild folks out there. And I will see you all next week. Bye, beauties.